And with the exception of the abrupt stop, it's almost like a real show.
Almost. So close.
I know. I
Like
think it.
this
No, it
close.
is. It is a real show. It's not very well produced,
Oh,
but
okay.
it's
No.
definitely a real show. I think. Is this a show?
That's a great point. That's a great point, Sean. I like that.
What constitutes this? Is what defines the show? Is it the fact that you have to put on a different personality? Do you have to act? What are the qualifications? This is a very interesting. That's an interesting thing. What would be
What
the
are the
definition
qualifications?
of this making it a show?
An audience? I mean, I guess Bruce counts here. He's first
But-
up.
Yeah.
But is that
Yeah.
is that it? Is that all it is? You just need an audience and you got a show?
Maybe
That can't be it. It can't be that easy, is it?
high production value. That
Well, I don't think it's
Yeah.
high. I don't think it's high production value. But
Is it just
I think
production
it's
value,
some
period?
Production value. Yeah.
I don't know. David Lee Roth had an audience when he was on whatever Sirius or SoundCloud or whatever he was on that time, and that didn't count as a show because they canceled that.
That's true. But
Well, it counted as a show. It just didn't.
right up until he started talking, I think is what it was.
Yeah.
Confident, sir. Very confident.
That's right.
A lot of
Oh my gosh, Jason, do a proper opening, my friend.
yes.
Well, I don't know. It's not a proper show. Do we deserve a proper opening?
I think
Welcome.
it's anything we want it to be.
Exactly. Why do we have to label things, Ray?
Lead us
Why can't-
lead us
can't
into
these-
glory, Jason. Lead us into glory.
Hello,
Me.
Me. Hello, world. Welcome to Vagabond Nerds. We are powered by Titan Comics. Visit Jeremy for all of your geeky accoutrement at the location below. Call him and the phone number below. Or hit him up on his website, titancomics.com.
So, Bruce, unknown to you, Jason does have some improper openings, but we'll leave him alone.
I've seen some of Jason's improper openings, and they are not pretty.
Nobody
you
wants
paid
to see it. Yeah, please go see Jeremy at Titan Comics or titancomics.com. Got some good stories, to just go over there and just get lost in for hours. And I'm not kidding about that. You can actually see stuff. We keep showing The Last Ronin because that is probably our favorite series right now, although mine actually is probably going to be Carmen with a K.
Yeah.
But, definitely trying to read some more independents coming from publishers like Antarctic Press or
That's
even
what
the smaller
I'm
ones.
more interested in right now. I'd like to
Movie
get
studios, yeah.
I'd
Yeah.
like to get more into those independent pieces and get away from, the big Marvel and the mainstream. Like I want to find some interesting stories that no one's written before, I want to find that kind of stuff.
And instead of the X-Men doing Inferno for the 5th time.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Heavy Metal has Modern Frankenstein. If you ever get a chance, read that as well.
Yeah.
It's really
That's something
good.
I need to check out. So there's been so many good. I want to get into some of the older independent stuff or some of the older foreign stuff that we
Mhm.
probably weren't all into when it was initially released. Kind of the stuff that oh good grief, what was it? That's like The Fifth Element was based on. That
Yeah.
was
Oh, yeah.
another French. That was that French comic, that French
Mhm.
magazine. And I want to look into stuff like that. I want to find some of those older stories and see if they have them translated somewhere and read some of them and see how they are.
Was the 5th Element or Valerian? Because Valerian was based
Both.
on a
It was
French.
both.
Okay.
Both.
Okay.
So
I was aware of the 5th Element. I thought it was inspired by Valerian, but not directly translated.
So the guy, I forget his name, Luc Besson.
Luc Besson, yeah.
Luc Besson. He did both, and he grew up reading that comic. I can't remember the name of it. I'm sure somebody will find it for us.
I thought it was Valerian. I thought it was Valerian that he.
No, Valerian was one of the stories in the comic. I thought it was. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it is Valerian. But Valerian, I thought Valerian was like the Buck Rogers style comic.
Right.
In
this I'll look
serial. It up. Yeah. But because I thought it was the same. It was akin to the way I heard about it was akin to Heavy Metal. Because Heavy Metal was just that random collection of all these stories, and I thought that was the same thing. Maybe I'm wrong though. Maybe Valerian was specifically the comic that he was reading, and he based Fifth Element off of. He based the world, not Fifth Element. He just based the world that they were in off of that, like that visual aspect. He loved the visuals in the comic, and that's why he had those weird round cars, those funky aliens, and like such a rich world that they created for that movie.
Okay. So yeah, I'm looking
Just
at
say
right now.
no, not. If I've got plenty of those, Bruce. I have plenty of those. Like you would be a severe. I was always caught off guard by how much nudity I found in Dark Horse comics. It was crazy the amount of nudity in Dark Horse comics. I never understood that.
Aliens and Predator being owned by the mouse now, probably not as much. Very good.
Metal. Yep. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. You're not wrong. Okay, so it is sort of what I thought. It was not, the Fifth Element was not inspired. Well, it's not based on a comic book per se.
No, the world is.
The world was inspired by the works of Mobius and the Valerian comic.
That's what's Mobius. Thank you, Mobius. So Mobius and the Valerian comic.
Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so that's where it came from, which he eventually was able to go and do Valerian in the Thousand Worlds, which is a direct adaptation of that comic.
Yeah, I wish he'd done a little bit better. I wish they'd done a bit of better job on that one. That needed to be. That could have been a trilogy.
That whole movie should have been broken up into at least 2 or 3 parts. I agree.
Or 2. It should have been part 1 and part 2 at the very least.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. He should be. Yeah, I wish it was done during an era when they could, when directors could do something like that. Like
pitch the idea first, or like what Dune's doing that, right?
Yeah, they're doing part 1, part, and that's exactly who I was going to cite. But now all I can think of is Luc Besson. I know it's not Luc Besson; it's the other guy. It's Denis V, whatever how you pronounce his last name. But yeah, he's doing the 2-part just for the 1 book for the 1 movie, which I thought was phenomenal. So I mean,
I will actually do more. I mean, you can get more into it. It makes perfect sense. And here's the thing: I enjoy Valerian. I liked that movie. But I do feel like it either needed to shorten the story and make it more. It either needed to tighten it up.
I don't even think it was that.
2 or 3 parts.
I think the actors chosen could have been a bit better.
It's
not a slam on them, but it's just a little bit better of an actor pool, or completely different actor.
They did a good job acting, but I couldn't believe the two of I had a hard time believing the lead actor.
Yeah,
the actress, really nothing wrong with her. No, I was like, okay, she's doing a good job. And I forget every one of these. I know Dane, that's his first name. I just don't remember his last name.
Cara Levine was the.
That's it. Thank you for the Levine. So I mean, she did fine, and I believed her in her role. But him as the leader, man, he was just so young. He has a great voice, but it's like me if I shave this thing off. I just look like a baby face. I lose 10 years just shaving this thing off my chin. So
who doesn't is Tobey Maguire.
Tobey Maguire.
He doesn't look young. He always looks perpetually 48.
Tobey Maguire? No, dude, he looked younger when he was younger.
Nah.
Yeah, he did.
He looked like he had the same problem Jason has. I'm gonna forever look 48.
He's not. It's not a Sam Elliott thing, dude. No, it's not. It's totally not that. He didn't turn all his hair white when he was 12 and just age up and his age caught up with his face.
Oh,
that's not how this happened.
I will say this: everyone marvels at the 3D that was used in Avatar, but the 3D used for Valerian
was astounding,
fantastic.
Yeah. It's astounding. Yeah, it was good.
I've got that version, and I it's probably the only time I still turn on the 3D players when I want to watch that movie.
Yeah.
So I think it was underrated at the theater. I feel like not enough people appreciated it.
Well, I mean, but rightly so. It didn't. I think Jason said it best. It didn't have enough. It wasn't focused.
Yeah.
It was all over the place because that world, that comic book, or everything that was in there was so much more inspired. Did someone say Marvel before DC? It was so much more inspired. There was a lot that they could have shown, and he wanted to show a lot. So he had you trekking from place to place to place to place in this space romp. And I mean, that's fine, but really you only want to go to 2 or 3 places in a movie if you're doing the space trek. You know what I mean? Unless you're going to start, getting something.
It was that spy thriller in space where you always globetrot all around, except he was doing it with planets.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. It was almost a kind of a 007, a James Bond-esque kind of thing.
Which was the idea. The problem is it was just the real problem with it wasn't that they had too many locations, was the storyline was in too many places.
So
there were
too
many subplots.
So the bottom line is our review of Valerian some decade later.
It's only been like 4 years.
I don't know. I don't have it pulled up. I think one of y'all was looking at it.
Look,
but yeah, that is there's our Valerian review. Not bad. Good movie to turn your brain off and watch. But
2017,
sure.
4 years, 2017.
That's not bad.
Right
That's not bad at all.
Yeah.
All right, what are we talking about today,
all right,
gentlemen?
Well, we're going to give our very timely review of Back to the Future Part 2. Well, actually, so we have Snake Eyes, the trailer that we haven't talked about yet.
That's what we forgot. That's what we forgot to mention.
That's what we forgot the last show.
That's what we forgot to mention last time. Snake
and
Eyes.
Then we have Loki 4 and 5.
Yeah.
Episodes 4 and 5 to talk about. I can't imagine we're going to get out. Beyond
that's
that.
right, Bruce, and spoiler free.
Yeah, exactly. But one quick thing I think before we jump into all that we should mention is we apologize if y'all were watching us not live last week when we were reviewing the trailers, because Facebook decided to block us on that one and just shut it all off. So we did go back and contest it, but Facebook told us to screw off.
That's right.
Apparently, if you show any type of video that isn't of your own creation,
and that you're not overlapping, even though we're talking over it.
Well, no, that's the other thing is we were talking over it, so that doesn't count, right? That doesn't count. Any video, I think. What did they say? They flagged us because it was a minute and 30 seconds worth of
something
that was that was copyrighted.
Yeah,
and it was just like, so yeah, you can't even show. I mean, maybe we could get away with a single trailer, but even then, they might do it again to us. So who knows? But yeah, today, which I think is really fascinating because people do that all day long when they play video games. I'm sorry, but that person doesn't own. I mean, yeah, he paid for the video game. That doesn't mean he owns the copyright to that video game. He can play it all day that he wants. And I've seen him play the trailers for the video games coming up to it. I mean, hell, you have watching parties on Facebook and Twitch and YouTube and everything to watch.
Well, their entire YouTube channels. Their entire YouTube channels dedicated to trailers.
Dedicated to trailers. It's ridiculous. But yeah, so we don't have enough followers. So tell your friends, hit like and share and subscribe. Hit that like button, hit that notification button.
And we are on
YouTube
when
we go live. And we're on YouTube today, so you can check us out.
We're streaming both YouTube and Facebook.
Get more people to watch this crap show so that we can start showing trailers and everybody can be entertained.
Get on it. Genesis, Bruce. All two of you.
All two of you.
All two of you. Yep.
Now, I do want to talk some quick news where Genesis ANX Gamecast probably going to be a little mad. I don't think I'm beating him to the punch, but way to go, Nintendo, for finally introducing a brand new Switch that everyone's been waiting for. The Switch Pro and higher, ability to play, better games, 4K speed. No, wait. They introduced a wider screen. Never mind. That was all they did. And so now we have a new Nintendo Switch that's basically wider and a stronger and brighter screen.
Okay.
That's it. Everybody and their grandma were waiting on news of the Nintendo Pro, which was basically going to be like a hub for all of the older stuff. Not that it isn't, right? I mean, they're still going to be putting out the Halo trilogy, the first 3 out on there, but what did y'all do? Yeah, I mean, it's like, come on. Like, I'm cool with it, but
you're Nintendo. You have one job.
You know what I think is going to be funny about this though is right now, this new thick Nintendo, THICC as Bruce is calling it out. It's coming out with this high, this not high definition, but obviously this bigger screen.
OLED,
brighter screen, OLED, that whole deal. So it's supposed to be clear. And I mean, I know OLED. Well, OLED is one step away from the QOL, whatever it is. I'm interested to see what the shortage in parts is going to do, though, to their sales, because screens that's actually a big thing right now. Is there's a huge shortage in some of the minerals that are being utilized to make these screens. so they can't pump these out as much as they possibly can.
Microchips are also having a huge
which is
problem
which
right
is the
now.
same. Yeah, exactly.
more of an effect on the PS5 and the Xbox.
Well, and also,
Bridge.
dude, the auto industry. That's
Yeah.
that's the other thing that's been really crazy is
Yeah.
it's affecting the auto manufacturing. So
Yeah, sure.
I mean,
Well,
not.
we're about to start seeing some real food shortages here as well. Because
No, I've already started.
Yeah.
Well, there's. You all know about. You already know
Chicken.
about. Everyone knows about Thigh Stop instead of Wing Stop now. Did you hear about that? They
Which
actually
is
changed
brilliant,
their
by the
name.
way, for Wingstop.
Freaking
Absolute.
brilliant.
Wait, we're running out of wings.
I love some good thighs, man.
Let's go to thighs.
Yep, that's right.
Yep.
Yeah, but
Well,
that's more depressing than what we want to get into today.
I'm so
true.
happy. I'm so happy that Nintendo put out another brighter screen. I really don't care. I've never cared about the Switch. It's one more thing to take me out of reality, and I already have enough of that.
I will tell you.
I used it to play with the kids because they love Brawl or whatever it is. The Super Smash Brothers.
Super Smash Brothers.
Whatever the latest version is that has Sephiroth and Steve from Minecraft.
Yeah.
The other thing that I saw game related was the trailer for RoboCop. I didn't even know this game was in development.
I still haven't
neither did I.
The teaser.
Yeah, neither did I. My buddy Nathan sent me it, and I was just like, oh. And I thought, okay, haven't done one of these since mid '90s, late '90s, early 2000s, something like that.
You mean a RoboCop movie?
No, RoboCop game, not a movie.
Oh, yeah.
Is it like a first-person shooter or what?
I don't even know. It doesn't show you any gameplay.
Doesn't show any gameplay. I will tell you what got me pumped for it though was when it's going in, and you see the old Detroit skyline.
Yeah.
But it's Dallas.
It's like
Dallas.
And it actually had the reunion ball, and I was like, "Oh my god, that is so awesome!"
Interesting.
Now, it looks graphically, it looks great. Right, they show a side, but again, no gameplay,
that's not gameplay. That's I mean, and that's anybody could have mocked that up and put that out there. You don't know what it's going to be like. I don't know what the premise would be. I hope whatever it is, they do it justice because it does have, if we think back to the original movie, this guy who gets blasted to bits. While it is horrible, he gets blasted to bits by this this crazy ass gang, and then he comes back, and it's an emotional journey. You know what I mean? It's not just an action movie. It's also an emotional journey. There's more to it. It's actually a really good movie. The first one is.
It is.
Which means there's a lot of room for them to incorporate that into a deeper story besides just to shoot everything, blow everything up kind of thing. But they still could go that route. It's just that you've got to have some sort of substance, some kind of story there to drive it if it's going to be anything,
So believe it or not, it was 2014 was the last RoboCop game we got.
Oh, that was PC though, wasn't it?
Free to play as well.
Oh, that's okay. Free to play.
There was one that came out in 2014.
2014.
That's actually how much everybody.
That's how much everybody cared about.
That's how much everybody pays attention to it. Yeah, exactly. Oh wow, 2014.
Oh,
three years before Valerian came out.
Exactly. Well, did it tie into the movie that they did? Or was it?
I don't know.
The RoboCop reboot. I don't know. Maybe.
Look, man, I'm only.
Which also was not. That wasn't a bad movie either.
It wasn't. I liked it. There was a lot to like about that reboot. I wish they had done more with it.
Yeah.
Do we want to do 2 more trailers, or do we want to get into Loki?
I want to do Snake Eyes because
we still haven't even talked about Snake Eyes.
Yeah.
Jason mentioned it. We haven't talked about it. So
take it away, sir.
Yeah.
Jason.
Okay, so I am really looking forward to this one. I find it interesting. It seems like we're getting 2 Hollywood-based like kung fu style movies in the same year with Shang-Chi and now Snake Eyes, and it does look like it's going to be an action martial arts flick, which I love. Like, it's actually one of the things that drew me to Superpower Beatdown that Bat and the Sun was making, was that they had a lot of that good old-fashioned martial arts flick feel to it. A lot of their fight scenes, they were just overly choreographed and beautifully shot fight scenes. That it's not something we've done a lot with the advent of the superhero movie, right? Or sort of those good action martial arts films.
You had the Iron Fist, but everybody shit all over that just because it was a white guy.
True. Okay, which is actually the thing I liked about it was the fact that it was just
I know.
martial
I mean, I understand why it's more than that. It's a deeper thing, but I do think the social justice got out of hand there. It's like you guys got to look back at the comic. That's where it came from. That's the whole story.
Yeah.
But
Well,
anyway,
no, we don't do origin. We don't look back at source material anymore, man.
Mm-hmm.
I
So,
need
but
actually.
yeah,
I do need to see. I need to see that, Bruce. I've got that flagged. I need to check out Warrior. I really do because
Yeah.
I heard is that something like the
Mhm.
1920s old school
Mhm.
gangster stuff? Yeah, I need to check that
Well,
out.
that was the
On my
one
list.
based off on some ideas from Bruce Lee, right?
Yes,
And
it
kind of
was.
like a
Yes.
loose association.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So, like I
Exactly.
said, I'm looking forward to Snake Eyes. I do like the visor flipping out thing, but it looks like it's going to be good. I mean, I just
Genesis with
Dean
the
Cain?
line drop of the
wow,
day.
Dean Cain?
straight to
Snake
DVD
Eyes
version
looks
of
like the
Shang-Chi.
Dean Cain straight to DVD version of Shang-Chi.
Ouch!
Wow.
Wow. Okay. All right. It's on now.
I hope not.
Yeah, I hope not. And I do want to see it. Snake Eyes was he was the character out of GI Joe that I always wanted to play with, that I always wanted to be.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? If we had toys, if we were, coming up with stories or whatever we were doing back when we were reading the comic, watching the TV show, and playing with GI Joes, it was like I'm going to be Snake Eyes. You love that. He's the ninja. Who didn't want to be the ninja when you were that young?
Yeah.
So I have like there's that place in my childhood in my heart that I'm like I really hope this is going to be good. They didn't do him any justice in the previous two
No.
or three GI Joe films they had. It just wasn't as good. Again,
Well,
I
they
think
didn't do him justice, but they didn't do wrong by him the way they did wrong by every other character in that franchise.
well, but that's what I was trying. I like exactly. That's what
Yeah.
I was going to kind of go on to say. Is it's just like I think that was a result of their that was still them not really understanding where to go with it, how to handle it, how to make it into, for, I mean, all intents and purposes, a Marvel film, right?
Yeah.
To
Yeah.
make it into a Marvel movie where it's like you take this, what seems to be this completely outlandish comic children's book sort of centric story, which is really not if you read it, right? It deals with
Yeah.
mature themes. I mean, that's the misconception on comic books from everybody's. It's, oh, it's a comic book. It's always, Archie and stuff. You're like, no, it's not even Archie and Joe. I mean, hell, Archie fought freaking predators, so
Yeah.
eat that. And anyways, but yeah, so a common misconception that it's just some childish story, and I don't think they were taking it seriously. And I think you can tell that by, I mean, you can tell that by the first film. It's just like you guys kind of made this too campy. It's really not supposed to be a campy movie. It could have
It
been
was
better
Bat.
than this.
It was the Batman and Robin. They went with the Batman and Robin
No, it's not
idea
even that
first.
No,
bad.
it's not that.
No.
It's
It's not even that bad. It's not that
because
bad. Batman and Robin was bad.
I
Well, it
just
was
rewatched both of those GI Joe movies, and the sad thing is, and maybe not the sad thing. I think the good thing is they weren't as bad as I remember. In
No,
fact,
they're not.
it's
They're not.
actually fun. They were fun
Yeah.
movies.
They just, like I said, they were a little too campy.
Hmm.
They didn't really. They didn't do. They could have gotten better. They could have done a much better job. It could have had a deeper level to it. And I just
Definitely a movie you have to shut off your brain for. You
Oh,
have
yeah.
to. Like,
and we
there's-
do all. I mean, we love those.
Yeah.
We do
Yeah.
love those movies.
Yeah.
So it's
I like the
not that I'm
second. I
saying it
do
was
like
bad.
the second one better. No, and I agree. My allusion to Batman and Robin is they were like, well, let's go campy with it instead of serious. The
Right.
GI Joe franchise, if you look at, I mean, really, if you like, I went back to, since they're just kind of running them on YouTube, like I put it on for background noise.
Mm-hmm.
A while back, it occurred to me real fast, like there was some nuances I did not pick up as a kid at all.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
between Destro and Cobra, like that was the thing that really kept popping up. I noticed was Destro is just getting paid. Like
Yeah.
all of these
That's it.
minions, they're
Yeah.
being. It's like Destro's just making weapons for him.
Yeah, he's the arms dealer.
They're all contract. Yeah, they're all contractors. That's it. I'm
Mhm.
like, there's some really interesting concepts in all of this
I-
that they could have played with.
I'm laughing, and I don't know how many people will get the reference, but all I keep thinking is pork chop sandwiches. So, Matt, if you're listening for
Yeah.
any stupid reason, that's
God,
for
the
you,
pork
buddy.
chop sandwiches.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, when you said Matt, now I know what you're talking about. Okay.
Yeah.
Jesus.
I love those shorts.
Knowing is half the battle. Yeah.
No one's half the battle. Yeah, that's right.
I do hope that they do this one. I hope they give it a little more justice. I
Yeah.
hope they play it a little more serious.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see.
Well, the other trailer that absolutely just I fell in love with the moment I saw it, and it's absolutely because of the art, was the trailer for What If. They finally released a full trailer for that, and my God, does that look beautifully
just
done from an animation style.
The opening, or not the opening. I mean, I guess it would be considered the opening when they were from Iron Man 1, all redrawn, and you can almost see it's almost that
Scanner darkly, Phil.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say drawn over photocell, where they'd shoot it and then redraw and then hand draw it over everything, and it was just really, really good. And then to see
Killmonger show up.
Yeah, to see Killmonger show up and save him, and you're like, okay, what? And that just that moment of realizing, oh wow, okay, they're gonna do this. This is gonna get out there. This is really gonna be fat. Which the possibilities, man, the possibilities of this show. I'm very excited by it. Very excited by it. And it's the last time we get to hear Chadwick Boseman's. We get to hear his last performances.
Yeah.
Which
he recorded.
Yeah, which is already hard. It was great to see him as Star-Lord and heartbreaking at the same time, because you realize what you're going to miss. And I don't know how they're going to do Black Panther 2 without him.
They've rewritten the script 5 times.
Yeah. But
they have to try to figure out a way, man. I know.
Look, I'm just looking at the shading and the artwork for it right now, and it's we're gonna find a way to show this at the same time without getting yelled at or
one of these days
blocked. One of these days. But it's just beautifully done, and I love it. Brian, good morning. By the way, we're talking What If.
Oh, we missed Daniel's hello as well.
Yeah, Daniel. Hey there.
Oh, hey Dan. Well, and here's the thing, right? It looks like we finally hit it. I wish we had gotten to this sooner, because I think really by the time you get to Guardians of the Galaxy, you could do anything you wanted. But they've really been holding back in the movies, and it's like with What If, there's going to be enough that would have happened that they're going to allow themselves to really explore the Watcher. They're going to be able to do some of these other bigger, broader stories that really was always my favorite part of Marvel. Like, don't get me wrong, I love Spider-Man. He's my guy. But I also love the old Jack Kirby, Stan Lee, these big, sweeping soap opera epic kind of things. That's why I love the Eternals. That's why I love the New Gods. I know that's in DC, but what I'm saying is, like, I love that stuff. I love the space adventures where it's like where Thor and Hercules are out in space, and Kang the Conqueror, the Immortus, that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
Like those are the things that I was always a huge
Don't keep it up there for too. Yeah, don't keep it up there for too long, Ray.
Yeah, I know.
We got a total like 30 seconds that we can show pictures of things from, and then we got to take them down, or Facebook's gonna cut us off.
Yeah. Like one of my favorite, like they keep showing the cover. It's one of my favorite comics. Is where the Avengers were fighting Kang and Immortus, and it like in the story, they're like, well, Kang came from this universe where in the far past, and you have these big fight scenes where everyone's in these like future knight outfits, but they're still fighting with maces and axes and swords and stuff like that. It's like I love the idea of these big space battles and fantastic stuff. It looks like What If is going to allow us to see more of that. So I'm super excited for it.
I would say that I'm glad they haven't done it until now. I know you mentioned that after the Guardians of the Galaxy, they really could have done anything, but I have to say I'm very, very happy that they didn't do it until now. Simply because I don't want to. If they had done something like this earlier, it's really going to throw a monkey wrench into the continuity of the overall tale they played with the Infinity Stones.
Right.
Because it's like, it's not that it's going to be a bad thing. It's not that I think these are going to be bad stories, but they were
Beautiful image, by the way.
that was a great image. They were working towards a purpose. They had a focus, and similar to what we were discussing earlier with our 4-year-old review of Valerian, for no reason other than it just popped into our heads this morning. If you don't have that focus, it can end up being a distracted story and leave you with a distracted audience.
Correct.
So I'm glad that they're
I agree
waiting.
with you on that. I agree with you that what if should happen now. I agree with you that. My point is, the space stuff. I think they could have done more with it. That's all.
I get it. I'm just saying. I'm saying it this way because you said you wished they had done it earlier, and so I'm telling you that I don't think they should have. I know you agree with me now, and that's great, but you didn't agree with me a moment ago. But so it's good that they're doing it.
Ray.
It's good that hey man, somebody's got to be that person every once in a while. He's over there looking up zombie Captain America. So, but it looks fantastic, and I'm excited about all the possibilities that we're going to see and all these variations on the stories we've already watched, and the fact that it's animated. I've always been a huge fan of animation because it allows you to do so much whilst keeping. I refer to it as continuity, but I would say, it doesn't. There's no bad special effects to take you out of the movie. It allows you to suspend full disbelief the entire time you're watching it, because you're watching it as a cartoon and you're in it. There's no, it's the same reason I never wanted to see Space Jam, and the same reason I don't want to see Space Jam 2. I mean, it's trying to be serious, and it's not acknowledging the fact that they're cartoons. Oddly enough, Who Framed Roger Rabbit never had that issue. Don't know why that is. Where the hell did Ray go?
He's coughing up a lung.
Yeah, but he should have only hit. He stopped Cam and Mike and okay, whatever.
Good
job, Ray.
Yeah, well, he's got tuberculosis, so
he's got tuberculosis. There's going to be easier to do things in an animation when you're not blending the two together, or when you're not doing, some special effects in a show. So that's what I'm really excited about. There's gonna be a lot of cool shit that comes out of this.
No, I agree with that.
I wonder how long. Do we know how long it's gonna be? Is it gonna be similar to these other Disney Plus series? Like, I've been thoroughly enjoying all the Disney Plus stuff that they put out so far. But is it gonna be that same kind of situation? Is it only like 6 30-minute episodes, or sorry, not 6 30-minute, like 6 hour-long episodes? And then we're done, or
they haven't really said, and we don't even know how many episodes there are yet. So
that's what I was wondering, because there's a lot they can do.
There absolutely is. Like, there's this. There's one with Spider-Man, and it looks like they're fighting the Scarlet Witch. Like, what the heck is that about? So,
I'm very, very intrigued by it. Very intrigued by it. I think Ray did more than just. Oh no, maybe he's still muted. Yeah, he's doing a good job being muted.
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't think anyone wanted to see me dying.
Sorry. Well, only the highest quality of production here at Vagabond Nerds, ladies.
Well, we could have shown what was going on in the background, but no one wanted to see me choking to death.
I don't know. Sometimes, Ray, I've kind of wanted to see you choke to death.
Well, no, not by your hands.
Yeah, I didn't specify.
To answer your question, Sean, 10 episodes.
It is 10 episodes.
Oh, it is
10 episodes. Yep.
Do we know if they're going to relegate it to one season, or do we think they're going to do more?
Actually, of all the shows they've got, What If is supposed to have multiple seasons.
That's good. What if? Because, man, look, you can start bringing in characters that have not been in any movies whatsoever. And you can have brand new voice actors do them. It doesn't have to be the same actors we've been dealing with this entire. That Disney has been having to pay and put in, and even those characters. Like, I'm sure Hemsworth and a lot of these other folks are just like, hey, I'm tired of this. I've been doing this character for so many years. I'd kind of like to go play something else. Hell, Natalie Portman did that after only 2 Thor movies.
Until they let her be Thor.
Yeah.
Well, until she came back, was like, okay, shit, I do want the money. Come on, let's hook it up, Disney.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
She's Mama's got to pay some bills.
Yeah. Did you guys see those? All right, everybody's seen the Anakin and not Princess Leia. What is her name? Padme. We've all seen this, right? Right.
Yeah.
Did you see the one her going Thor, and then she's got the slightly less, and it's the Thor's Dark World, and then it's the third one, and she's not even in the picture, and it's Thor whatever, and then it says Thor Love and Thunder, and she's like, hey, back again smiling, but all four are her. I was just like, that's funny. That's good. That is good.
That's funny. I like that.
Well,
we're real excited for it. So let us move on to Loki now.
Loki episodes 4 and 5 since we were last on.
Yep.
Yeah. Wow. Four
was such a kick in the pants.
Yeah.
4 was such a kick in the pants, but also started out great. The moment between Loki and Sylvie, where there's that odd love, you know what I mean, where it's creating that branch, and no one's ever seen that before, and so that's them finding them and locating them and pulling them out of that disaster. That was good. I really liked you could see the confusion on both of their faces of what are we doing? What the hell is this? What are we thinking? What's happening? Why on earth are we feeling this way? I did
do the nasty and the pasty.
I did do the nasty and the pasty.
It's that past nastification that has brought us to today.
Verily, yes. No, I do enjoy those. You know what I'm talking about, like the teenage angsty love stuff, where nobody really like. A lot of folks would say it's very British, right? Because it's so reserved. They don't they just can't bring themselves to do it, even though they know that it's the best. That could be the best love of their life, and they can't commit to one another, or they won't let themselves be hurt. They don't let their guard down. That's that tension. That tension's always been there. I like that kind of stuff. So that was a good moment in the middle of that one.
In episode 4.
Do you want to take this opportunity to explore more your theory about how that would actually be masturbation, whereas I think it would be incest?
No, we're not going to touch that branch.
It's not incest.
We had the whole bit worked out last night, right?
But
I know that's why I just threw it away. Because I like picking you off.
Well, and also it's nice not to have bits. It's nice to have a spontaneous. I mean, I wasn't part of this bit now, and here I am, and I've got to say, Jason, I think you're wrong. There's absolutely no way that would be incest. But Ray's also, you're wrong too. You're both wrong. You're both just dumb. You're dumb dummies who are dumb, and it would not have been either one. It's not masturbation. It's not incest. It's two different timelines. The genes are completely different. She's a woman. He's a man. They can do whatever they want.
Cats and dogs living together. Mass hysteria.
Mass hysteria.
All right.
So Ray, what were you going to talk about on 4?
I mean, again, I think Sean touched on it, which was it's in the background they're trying to figure out who they are, who they are to each other, who they are to themselves, because
exactly, Daniel,
even whatchamacallit, Mobius talking to him when he's finding out what's going on, he's like, that's the most narcissistic thing you could ever do, is fall in love with a version of yourself.
You're falling in love with yourself. Yeah. How narcissistic can you be? Yeah.
It's that realization that he's just there, and they're learning a lot of stuff, not just about themselves, but about the TVA and
all the variants. I mean, they make that discovery, right? And I mean, Sylvie taking the guard, asking her to take her away because she was, she came back from the memory, from the mind control, right? In what was that, episode 3?
Episode 3.
Yeah.
Episode 3. So in episode 3, she woke up, and then in episode 4, when Sylvie talks about we had seen what happened to the other, to the whatever her unit number was, the chick who didn't come back, and they pruned her, and so we know what she experienced, and so she realizes that felt too real. And it was really interesting to see her break her rank and say, I need to come talk to you somewhere where I know they can't watch us.
And
it takes her. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, such a beautiful scene where she stops and goes, "I was happy," because you realize all at that point, like, she understands, what did they take away from me?
Yeah.
Who was I?
Yeah.
And why can I not remember even more? Why did they do this? It was greatness.
What I love is
yeah. Sorry.
Well, hold on though, but not when they get to not my boy Mobius. I mean that was talking about
that.
The reveal about the robots though, I thought was interesting. That's an interesting play.
The reveal about the robots. Oh, yeah. The keepers, the leaders of the TVA.
Yeah.
Well, so now
a lot of people don't know that they're robots.
Right.
Oh, wait. Spoilers.
Spoilers. Yeah. Sorry. Spoiler alert. Well, that's even the thing is we're still not there yet. We're still not there yet. We don't know where this is going. Or some of us do because, like Jason, maybe having read some of the comics, I don't know, but I don't know what's happening.
So here, I honestly think this is where reading the comics would actually put you behind. Like when we get to episode 5, there's a whole bunch of comic drops that we're going to be just going fanboy over. But I think honestly, the big reveal is going to be looking at how Marvel's done everything else in the past. I think I know where they're going with it, but let's go back to episode 4. So I do like where they're going. I like the fact that I go back to what I said in last episode, which is his speech to Mobius in that room, the non-murder room.
Yeah, where he says,
where he's continuously getting kneed in the groin by Lady Sif.
No, not in that murder room. Not in the
episode 1 when he's talking to Mobius about
the interrogation.
He's like, this whole thing is an illusion. Yeah, like I think that was, and I stand by it. They are telling us everything about what's going to happen in this whole show.
Well,
what's go ahead, John.
You're right in a way because it is an illusion, right? These folks have been lied to, and so he's not wrong. You know what I mean? He wasn't wrong, and you're not wrong in calling that out. I think he did hit the nail on the head because it has turned out to be an illusion, right? Mm-hmm. It's a deceit. It is a lie. The whole thing is a lie. It's still real to them because they're in it. But I mean, for sure, for definite, sure, they pulled all these people out of their timelines, and trained them to do this work for whatever reason. We still don't know.
Yeah.
Like, why pull these people out? Why take them out of their timelines to put them here and do this? Now, I think because as we're getting maybe we're getting a little too I'm getting a little too ahead of it here, but we're talking about episode 5 when they're both Sylvie and obviously we see Mobius there in episode 4. So Mobius, just spoiler wise, we find Mobius again, we find Sylvie again, we find Loki again because we see the end and we've got all the Loki variants. But when they're talking about the fact that she doesn't think the timelines have been fully pruned, because I mean you can't eliminate a timeline; they just all go to this void and sit here, and then they get eaten by this giant devourer.
Okay, Roth is my favorite. Outside of Howard the Duck, that is my favorite drop that they've done in Marvel so far.
Okay, but yeah, so it's eaten by the devourer and everything, and it's fascinating to me because I think what they're doing is they're engineering the timeline to keep it the way they want it, and stopping all the other multiverses from gaining any power and from ultimately taking them off their seat of what's considered control of the universe, right?
Well, the question becomes who's actually in control, since we know the timekeepers.
Exactly. And I'm also wondering if that's, I mean, what if it's not that, what if the timekeepers are real, just not in that form? You know what I mean? What if those robots were the mere animatronic projection of the real keepers?
Mm-hmm.
And you're right, they could be anybody. They don't even have to be those. They don't have to be the lizard men, right? They don't have to be that. They could be whatever. It could be It could be the frickin' Golden Girls sitting in a room somewhere playing canasta.
Oh, that would be
freaking Betty White. Okay, so I always knew she was dangerous.
It
Okay, so
could
hold
be
on.
Betty White.
Since
So-
we're here and we've sort of skipped over all the other stuff, let's do this now.
Right.
I actually think that we're going to find in that mansion is okay. If I were going to rely on the comics, it would be Kang, but we know he's not in it. It would be Immortus, but we know he's not in it because Immortus is a version of Kang. It would be. I think what we're going to find is it's going to end up being Loki, and he's going to be doing either a version of Immortus or a version of the man of what do they call him? It's the one at the end of all is his title. Again, these are deep comic cups, but so is
be
Alon.
prepared, Jason.
Yeah, so I think we're going to find out that Loki is the man in the castle. Like that's the mansion. He's out of time. It's going to be a version of Loki that's actually
You think
running
Loki
everything.
is the one who's controlling this entire thing as well? Not this Loki, but a version of Loki's controlling the
But
entire
a
thing.
version, I think that's going to be the reveal. Now, don't get me wrong. I love it. I love it if they did bring in Immortus or if they brought in the one at the end of all. But I think what we're going to find out is it's going to end up being a version of Loki, and the reason he's pruning the timelines is so that he wins and becomes king of space, right? Like let's face it. At this point, whoever, if this is a Loki, who's
I want a
running
shirt
everything,
that says that King of Space.
King of Space, yeah,
Yeah.
is that he's created a timeline where he is the ruler and master of all. And so I think that's where I think that's where we're going. But it's only from a Marvel perspective. Like I said, there's so many ways they could have done it with the comics, but
So glad that Jason froze
Marvel
right there.
isn't going to do it.
I don't know.
Here's the thing. Here's what I love about Marvel so far. Every single prediction, for the most part, that fans have made have been wrong.
Way off base. Way off base.
And I've stopped trying to figure out what it is and just started enjoying it.
Yeah.
Because every time you think it's going to go somewhere, they purposely throw something else. You end episode 4. First off,
gone the way I thought it would.
2 things, right? Mobius gets pruned. And what I loved was the look on Loki's face. Tom Hiddleston played that perfectly because it was that moment he just looked like he lost his best friend.
I was going to say, so did Owen Wilson. Him realizing what was coming and just being like, I just want to go back to wherever it was. And I mean, him again. I'm so intrigued. This is it sounds so ridiculous. This is some of the best acting I've ever seen out of Owen Wilson.
Because it's not Owen Wilson. Isn't that weird?
Yeah.
It's because he's not playing
Owen
Wilson. He's not playing the romantic comedy that he's always been pigeonholed into. It's nice to see him get to branch out, and do something different. But I also think that, that's also part of that. That's directing, that's working with other great actors who are pushing you to do better. It's the same in anything you do that's a talent or some sort of skill you have. If you are around people who are better at it than you are, you tend to rise to that level. So he's not just doing these cookie cutter comedies right now. He's out there doing what's a lot of very serious acting. A lot of very high paid directors and actors and producers are out there pushing this stuff. So he's got the opportunity to do that, and I think that's great. But yeah, his portrayal of Mobius is really good. And I mean, in the fifth one, I mean, that was the closest I think we've come to seeing Owen Wilson. He's like, God, it's like can't throw a rock without hitting a Loki around here, Yeah. And that was the closest we got to seeing, actual Owen Wilson playing Owen Wilson. But he's still so good. I really love his character in this. I mean, he could be an easy, given his role and given the character, I could easily see a Mobius like detective show.
Yeah.
After this, I would love to see like a Mobius detective series. I think that could be really fun.
Well,
even something prior to when Loki showed up, like TVA files or something like that.
So you got it right at the end of episode 4 when they prune Loki, and before the mid-credit scene where you realize he's alive somewhere.
Yeah.
For a split second, I thought, Oh my God, was the show for Loki always going to be about Sylvie?
About Sylvie? Yeah.
About Sylvie, yeah.
Because that
I
would
had
have
the
been
same thought.
such a great twist,
Dude,
And
if
it's
they
not that
had-
I mind it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. But then
that
how
would
do
have
they
been
put
an awesome
Loki?
twist.
But then how do they put Loki back in the timeline?
Yeah.
And that's why I was like, okay, he can't be dead. He can't be dead. There's got to be something going on here.
Yeah.
Well, I could have seen it as them using this to give us Sylvie and have Sylvie replace Loki in the new timeline.
Yeah.
But
that was sort of
negated, that would have negated all the other movies we just watched.
Well, not if it's a branched reality. See, and that's kind of the whole thing.
But it would still negate the other movies we ever watched because we've seen all these other films, we've seen all this other timeline play out, and that timeline would have that timeline would have ceased to exist if that Loki doesn't get put back in that timeline. The Avengers made that absolutely clear in Endgame that if everything doesn't go back exactly the way it goes,
and you know what Loki's doing?
Yeah. Well, but hold up.
Exactly. No, he's not doing that. He's not doing that.
But they set the charges. That's the whole point. The charges reset the timeline. So that timeline's good. They don't have to put him back.
But it doesn't create. Yes, they do because it doesn't create.
Jason just touched on it. No, they don't.
Stop. No. You're wrong. Listen, are you not paying attention?
I am.
You're not paying attention.
They take people out of the timeline, right? If somebody dies, they take them out of the timeline. Yes, they hit the pruner. They reset things. But that resets all the stuff. They have to remove everything first, and then they reset it. If someone's dead, they're dead. They haven't said anything about that resetting the person.
And you're right on that. But
if Loki's dead and he's not in the timeline, dropping that reset back when Loki disappears from that timeline in that moment doesn't bring Loki back. They've even said if we take you out, or if you've taken yourself out of the timeline, you've created an anomaly, and now we have to prune you to try to put it back to the way it needs to be.
But even pruning him, as they talked about in the very first episode, right, doesn't make the events that happened up to this point irrelevant. It's just becoming a different timeline or a different alternate reality, which is what you're going to get at the end of the series anyway, is this expansion into the multiverse, right? That's what they're trying to do.
So but how do you get from Avengers? How do you get from Avengers to the next movie? How do you get from Avengers to the next instance of Loki in that same timeline if he's been removed from that timeline?
The moment the Avengers in Endgame went back in time, all bets are off. Because now you have the multiple timelines. Regardless, you have exactly what the Ancient One told Bruce about.
I don't know about that, Brian. I haven't seen anything about, well, I mean, you're right. So, I mean, one resets the weapon or resets the person, one prunes. I don't know. Maybe that's the case. Maybe the pruning takes them out completely. Maybe the reset actually does bring them back. I'm unclear on that. I thought they had mentioned specifically that, when they take someone out of the timeline, they're out. And then they reset that timeline so that branch doesn't keep going. So, I mean, I guess if that's the case, the timeline would then continue. The original would continue to exist.
Yes.
It just seems, I don't know. It's all very.
Here's the problem. Are you asking for consistency from a Marvel property?
I didn't. Hold on.
You see what happens when you buy Fox?
No. Hold on. That's actually a very
that's
point.
true too.
But to answer your question, Jason, yes, because how consistent have they been up to this point?
Not at all. No, they haven't.
All right. How
many origins do we have for Captain America's shield? How many? The freaking
we do have
Infinity Gauntlet. Shield.
2 origins. 3 origins. Sorry, 3 origins for the shield.
Yeah, we got 3 origins for the shield.
So there's the one where he did built it and they found it in Iron Man 1. The second one where Howard Stark built it, but they never got. There's no reason why Iron Man should have a version of it. And then you have the third one, which is the different shield that Cap builds to bring back to Falcon. So there are 3 different versions of that shield right now.
We have the Infinity Gauntlet at Asgard. We have the Infinity Gauntlet that was owned by Thanos. Then we have the Infinity Gauntlet built by the Trolls in space.
That's true. The one
Shield was a brand new thing that no one had ever heard of. Now Shield's from World War II.
Yep.
Yeah, they have reset this timeline as they've gone. Like it's like Pepsi and Coke, right? Pepsi has redone their formula like every decade or so, since like the 50s and 60s.
Now, we're not getting into that. Let's go to episode 5.
I'm just saying,
Episode
Marvel
5.
is not consistent.
Episode 5.
Maybe I'm just. Oh yeah, that right there, that made me laugh. Maybe I'm specifically doing the suspension of disbelief because the way I've seen all those instances you guys are talking about, I've seen them as different pieces along the journey of those objects. You know, there are different places in time that those objects show up, but and maybe one person says, "Oh yeah, we created it," even though that's not the truth. They got it from somewhere else, and they're taking the credit for it.
The Infinity Stones were created by the Celestials. Next thing we know, they were created when the universe was created. Marvel's just inconsistent.
But again, you can consider that. You can also consider the inconsistencies in religion. I mean, it's all rewritten by different people and interpreted by different individuals. So I mean, somebody's culture is going to take that and say, well, we were the ones who did it. Someone's going to take to say, well, no, that was us. We did that. I mean, that happens to me at work all day long. I came up with that idea. Really?
Yeah. Well, but again,
that happens all the time. So
but
I mean,
the whole point here is you're looking for consistency from somebody that doesn't have consistency.
I am looking.
That's all I'm saying.
They are if you view it in the correct way. If you view it as them being this consistent thing.
Episode 5 was greatness, right?
The alligator stole the freaking. I'm sorry, crocodile stole the show.
No, it's not.
Absolutely.
Entire episode.
At least I didn't get pruned because I ate the cat, which I think, and I feel that they're referring to the Flurkin.
Oh,
because if he ate the cat,
the Flurkin,
and it changed his reality, it would have been, the cat had the Tesseract. The Flurkin had the Tesseract.
But I did like, I really liked the alligator. That was. That was one of the best parts of that episode, I gotta say. And I mean, it was funny to see a whole room of different Lokis beating each other to a pulp. So,
yeah.
Which someone,
the one that has the bicycle, bicycle handles is this one.
The bicycle handlebars, yeah.
The hand getting bitten by alligator Loki.
Yeah.
Yes, Loki. Yeah, and that's like Brian just said. His scream and goes, ah! It was perfect. It was just such a freaking Peter Pan moment right there with Captain Hook. Like it was, I just saw that. I was like, that was great. He just bit his hand off.
Yeah.
One of the theories though that I love because of this episode is, so we know Mobius is a variant. Yeah. How jacked up would it be if Mobius is a variant of Thor, and that's why him and Loki get along so well?
That's interesting. I had never considered that.
Interesting take. I don't think
very interesting.
I don't think so. But what if we find out his name is Donald Blake?
Oh, that'd be cool.
Like what if that, right? Marvel, haha. But how cool would that be if that's why that's that connection right there, is that he's a version of Thor. I mean, we know that there are different looks for Loki, obviously, after this episode. It was just that Earth's Thor.
Forgive me, what's the actor's name who played the old school costumed Loki?
I can't remember his name either.
He did a phenomenal job.
Yes, he did. I wish they'd give him a slightly better costume, but I get what they're doing.
I don't wish they'd given him at all. No, at all. That was a great costume. That was so great. It was. I mean, it was just like WandaVision, seeing them for Halloween dressed up. It's that same quality, and it was that hits all of us right here in the feels from when we were getting dressed up to go out on Halloween, the same way it did in that version in WandaVision, as much as it did in this one, seeing him dressed up in that almost just flimsy ass felt, someone hands sewn together, it was perfect.
Spandex. It was a spandex costume. Yeah. And like I said,
it was so good.
I wish they'd spent like $5 more on it. That's all. That's my only complaint. But I do love the fact that it was in there.
Jason, they don't have $5 to spend. They blew that extra money from this month. No, they blew that extra money from this month on the Velveeta because they wanted to give their kids a treat to put on the top of their broccoli that was frozen in the bag that's mostly all stems. All right? That's what that costume says to me when I see that on that screen. That is a serious moment where you're like, "Ooh,
that's
I got
some serious
Velveeta
thinking
on
there, Sean."
Uh-huh.
A tablecloth, yeah,
Uh-huh.
exactly. Could have been a tablecloth. Who knew? Who knows, right? But
Yeah,
it was
no,
good.
okay, hold on. Okay, so Thanos copter, that was brilliant.
That
All the
was
Easter
funny.
eggs.
That was funny. Yep, saw that sitting in the background.
Yep. But I have to admit, the one that really got me outside of Throg, which I thought was just funny as hell, is the head of the Living Tribunal. Now the question is that just a statue, or is that actually the head of the Living Tribunal? Because the role of the Living Tribunal in the comics, at least, is to he's a multiversal entity. He's sort of he sort of monitors the multiverse and makes sure everything's cool. In fact, there was supposed to be a scene where Doctor Strange took Thanos to be judged by the Living Tribunal in Infinity War. That was something that got cut. So the fact that if that is the actual head, like again, I couldn't imagine them doing him as a being. They'd probably do him as like a statue that the Living Tribunal speaks out of. So that's kind of how I figure they have his head. My question is that just a statue, or if that's actually the head of the Living Tribunal, are they insinuating that whatever created the TVA, whatever enslaved Aileroth is, again, if it's Loki who's the big bad at the end, I think he's usurped it, right? Because that's all he does. He's a usurper. But does that mean the Living Tribunal is actually dead, or do we get to see the rebirth of the
rebirth? The rebirth of the Living Tribunal.
I think
you're three-headed anything coming out of anybody. That sounds very scary, no matter what you do.
I think it goes back to the point where you can overthink this and overanalyze it, and at the end, Marvel is going to give you the simplest of answers for what they consider,
which is they don't care. They're like,
but that's fine. But that's fine if they don't.
I'm fine
right?
with that, and I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that. I don't mind.
I love not knowing. I love reading the comics and going, "Oh, could be where they're going," but at the same time, they take a different direction, and 9 times out of 10, it's a much better direction than what the comics took it. So I'm perfectly fine with that.
I'm okay with changes. I love changes. I would like to see some of these characters actually show up. Like, again, I never thought we'd get Aileroth, so I was again. It's not a good. It's not the true version of him, but I'm like, hey, you know what? We get to see him on screen. That's as good as it's going to get.
Again, it's all about the relationships in this show, especially with himself. The scene where we have Loki and Sylvie sitting down, like you already know that they're quote unquote falling in love with each other or themselves, whatever the case may be. But 2 things: 1, when she holds his hand, and 2, when he doesn't leave after she gives him the tablet, and he's like, "You stay, I'm staying." You knew right then and there. It was like, oh wow, they've let their guard down. They trust each other, so they're going to see it through to the end now, no matter how it goes. That scene right there was great. The scene where Mobius goes to shake his hand and Loki's like, "No, I'm
let me give you a hug."
Yeah.
Brothers don't shake hands.
Brothers got a
hug. But great scenes of them and each other and just, again, the chemistry that goes through the entire cast. Forget just Loki and Sylvie, but the entire cast is absolutely feeding off of each other, and that's great to see, because it makes for a good, enjoyable, and believable, I was going to say movie, but show.
Yeah.
So, but that was pretty cool. And then I went from not liking old school Loki to loving him by the end of the show.
Oh yeah.
And the amount of power that he was able to produce to recreate Asgard there.
Yeah.
And then still having the guts, Marvel having the guts to kill him. That was because by that time you get so used to him, you like him, you hear his story about how he was basically he just went into self-exile, and the moment he stepped out, they nabbed him. But just knowing that he realizes he's alone, right? Which is basically the story for every Loki throughout the multiverses. They always feel alone in some capacity.
And I think the the reason we have him and the reason it's so impactful, his character's so impactful, is because he's the first Loki out of everybody, so as out of all the Lokis to this point, who's kind of just redeemed himself in a way.
Yeah.
And not by his actions in this episode. I mean, he realized his folly, like
within his own story.
In his own story, and then he went into exile, and that is uncharacteristic of all these. They're not meant to do that. So the fact that he did that and went into exile, like, I mean, we see him do that, and that's that, to the fact that Loki, you can be whoever you want to be. It's not just, you're not always limited to being the scheming, conniving sort of, person.
You don't have to play the villain.
Survive, though. Yeah, you don't always have to be the villain if you don't want to be. You can be whoever you want to be. You're not.
Which, by the way, I think is actually why Sylvie was pruned. I think we're going to find out Sylvie was not going to play the trickster originally. If she had stayed, she would have become a hero. Like, she still may have been a trickster, but she would have. I think she wouldn't have gone evil. She would have been Thor's friend.
You know what would be fantastic about that? If they never give us the background on why. I think they will. I'm pretty sure they will. But if they don't do it, I'm perfectly fine with that.
I'm the same way. I don't mind those kinds of things. I don't care about backgrounds as long as what I'm getting. I mean, if it's a good story, it doesn't always have to have a background. How many good 80s movies do we remember seeing that was like, man, that was a great movie? You didn't go, yeah, but where did that guy come from? I don't watch Mad Max and say, where did that muscly guy in the hockey mask come from, though? Where's his story? Could someone tell me how he got all of these crazy minions together and all
Instead
these... Instead, I'm just like, I don't care. I'm enjoying the fact that there's an antagonist here and this whole thing's got to go and we need some gas. Like, it's fine. I don't mind it.
We need some go juice.
I don't give a shit.
We need some gas and we have to eat a person or two.
It's the same. Like, I don't care about a lot of those origin stories. Sometimes an origin story ruins the entire mystery, and you're just like, okay,
yeah.
I don't know, something like episodes 1, 2, and 3, possibly, ruining the entire freaking thing. Where you're like,
well,
it's all political.
Hold on.
Just ruin. Okay.
Yeah. But Genesis makes a great point, right? The helmet's still there.
Good point.
And he made Thanos believe he was dead.
Well, and also he said
his timeline.
He created a version of himself so realistic that he made. Yeah. So I mean, that's true. You're absolutely right, Genesis. And yes, thank you, Brian. Mystery leads to discussions like this.
Which is the whole point. So we still have one episode left. All will be revealed, or at least whatever Marvel wants to reveal before they retcon the shit out of it anyway. Well, like, can we just be honest? Like, that,
let it
fine.
go.
I don't care. It is what it is. But it's like, you can't get too attached to any of this.
But I don't want to be too attached to it because that's the whole
Agents
point.
of S.H.I.E.L.D. is no longer canon.
This is what I want. This is what I do want to talk about that I think is funny. So did anybody else notice when you logged into Disney Plus, over the last couple of days, especially on Wednesday when you logged in to watch Loki, did you see all of the thumbnails that they changed for all of the other Avengers and all of the other Disneys?
No.
Certainly Black Widow?
Every single one of them was a different shot of Scarlett Johansson in her Black Widow thing. Every single thumbnail, and they all had it was all white with the Black Widow and her in front of it, and it was like Avengers, Iron Man 1, Iron Man 2, 3. It was her on the thumbnail with the trailer, the title of the movie in front of her. It was Thor 1, 2, and 3. I was like, she's not in those. But it was her on every one. I even scrolled down to the Marvel thing and looked at the entire. I was like, holy shit, they're pushing this, aren't they?
It was.
Genius, though. Genius. I mean, a great reminder to everybody that, hey, this is coming out. If you want to watch it, you should watch it. So,
I'm sorry. Something just blew my mind. Genesis, did I just see you compliment 2 DC movies back to back? Did I just see that?
What do you mean?
Stop the presses right now. Stop the presses.
Yeah. I'm shocked. Okay, you're about to get pruned.
No, he didn't know. You're reading that wrong. Read that again.
better than all the DCEU movies except for Man of Steel. And he's complimenting 2 movies. I don't know.
All right.
He needs to be pruned. That's not our Genesis.
That's not the Genesis we know.
Nuh-uh.
That's not the Genesis we know.
I will say that I did get the opportunity.
Mobius is coming for you.
I did get the opportunity to watch it last night. I'm gonna save my liked or disliked or any type of anything for anybody. So, but I did watch it last night. Watch it. If you have the opportunity, watch it. I would have liked to have seen it at the theater. That's just not going to happen right now. So, but
I'm probably watching it tomorrow.
Something that we'll review,
check it out.
Something that we'll review next show, I think, right?
I would like to.
Episode.
I would like to. Did anybody else see Tomorrow War?
I did.
Not yet, but I'm going to.
I did. All right.
I'm looking forward to it.
Maybe those will be the things we talk about coming up. Maybe we'll talk about Tomorrow War and that as well. So Tomorrow War. Anyways.
The one thing that this is not a spoiler or anything else like that, but holy crap, did they put that sequel to Tomorrow War into production almost instantly.
Oh, is there already a sequel coming?
Movie went up. Tomorrow War 2 in development.
Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't see that.
Oh, yeah.
That's funny.
Interesting. Interesting.
Right, yeah, so.
Okay. All right.
So Brian, they nut fixed those problems at the end. That's awesome.
Problems,
that's awesome.
But they fixed it.
No, I'm going with
we're going with nut fixed.
Whatever. Let's. All right. So now we're 15 minutes over this point. All right. Let's.
Yep.
Yeah. We got to call it a day.
Yeah, and Daniel, really quick, I think that was because Sylvie mentions it at the end where all Lokis have more power than what we realized.
Oh, Loki says that.
Yeah, or Loki says it. Is it old Loki that says that?
No, it's not old Loki. It's current Loki. He goes. I think we're more powerful than we realize.
Yeah, you're right.
That was the other thing that old Loki had mentioned. Is he said the knife in itself is an illusion. Mm-hmm. He told you, he's like, this is it's there and then it's not there. It gives you think that's your power. You're focused on that. It doesn't allow you to see the true power you possess within.
Yep.
And so he mentions, I think we're more powerful than we realize. And she takes the inspiration from that and says, you're me, I'm you, you can do this. And the two of them get together and force the mind control on Azeroth. And it's like, there you go. It took that one Loki who was self-assured and who knew who he was to do this.
He saw through the illusion of himself.
His own flaws. He recognized who he was, took himself out of the equation, and he's the only one who was self-aware to that point. So he taught them how to do it. And
so really quick.
And Daniel, I did see your comment earlier. I was thinking the same thing. It could be Doctor Strange sitting in that mansion, given the fact that he had the time stone and he had a mansion. Like that thought did cross my mind earlier as well. So, but sorry, Ray, go ahead. Really
quick, they are actually in production on season 2 of What If already confirmed, so that's cool. But the one thing that we didn't mention is the animated series coming from Star Wars.
Yes.
Yes.
That
the
looks
anime one.
Yeah.
Samurai anime piece. Yeah. Beautiful. I'm very interested. Yes. I'm intrigued because I don't necessarily want to see. I don't necessarily want to see old world Japan samurai dressed up guys wielding lightsabers, because I do think that that's a little. I don't know. It could be, could not be. I mean, hell, what am I talking about? The whole idea of the Jedi was based on samurai. So who am I?
Yeah, I was about to say.
Who am I complaining about? But I don't know. But regardless, an anime series, that intrigues me because I do love good anime. Not a lot of the other like just Crunchyroll and stuff you can get on a daily basis. I like,
Yeah,
Akira,
Cowboy
Bebop, and
Samurai Champloo.
Cannot wait for that to see what it looks like on Netflix.
Yeah.
By the way, Special 7, it's on Hulu. Actually, pretty good.
Oh, and there was another thing. The live action Cowboy Bebop was back shooting in production. They did a quick teaser with a few of the people. The thing that threw me off was, and it was IGN or Society 6. I don't remember who did it. No, Society 6 is like a clothing thing. Never mind, something else. But the company who was showing the preview, like, first looks of the actors in costume. What do you guys think of their costumes? And I'm watching it, and that can't be their costumes. I mean, yeah, sure, the lead guy may have been sitting in the vest as,
Yeah.
But the other folks didn't really look like they were dressed up in costume, especially not Faye.
Yeah.
And I was just thinking, now then again, Faye in the anime,
right.
that costume's a little too racy, so maybe they had to change it. But they were like, "What do you think of them sitting in their costumes?" And I just thought that looks off to me. So I don't know. I hope it's not going to be too jarring to see. I hope it's not going to be one of those things where they take something I loved and now I can no longer, like, I can't watch the live version of it because there's no reason for it to be a live version. They're teetering on that precipice of
well. So let me say, I agree.
Good,
I agree with you entirely. I agree with you entirely. But I am okay with changes like that because I don't want to just see the anime brought to life.
So am I. I'm all right.
I would like them to bring something new to the mix. But I agree with you. It's like sometimes if they're not, if you push it too far,
yes,
then you've left then I'm like, well, then it's not Cowboy Bebop.
You need to stay close enough to the source material that it isn't totally different, but far enough away from it that it's entertaining and believable and intriguing on its own.
Yeah.
You're right. You don't want to just see a complete reproduction of what it was. So, but yeah, so I saw that they had been filming that again. So that must mean his ankle or his knee or whatever it was that he broke was up and back in place. They were doing their stuff. So that's good.
No, I'm looking forward to that one.
Yeah.
I'm still looking forward to the live action Avatar.
Spit it out.
Last Airbender that Netflix is working on. I'm not saying I'm not worried. I'm looking forward until I have reason not to.
Here's the thing. Nope.
The bar was set so low.
No, I don't. Avatar is never anything. I'm sorry, Last Airbender, Avatar, whatever you want to call it. That's never anything I want to see in live action ever, because it's so iconic. It's the same reason I don't ever want to see Akira live action. I just don't. There's so many special effects. There's so much more interesting things they can do that you don't have to. You don't have to see physics defied by somebody going up on wires and being like, okay, that's obviously fake, and now I can't believe it anymore. But I don't want to see that stuff.
But even if they nail it, though, like even if it's, I don't want to say a shot for shot, but even if they hit it, you wouldn't want to see it.
If they can pull it off, yes, I would want to see it. Do I think they can? Absolutely not.
No, that's fair enough, man.
Absolutely not. And that's why I don't want to see it. I think it's a waste of time. Go do something else. If you want to make a live action in that realm, feel free. Don't make the Airbender anymore. Write about somebody else.
Like go back 2 or 3 generations or whatever.
Yeah, or go forward 7. I don't give a shit. Just don't give me the story that I've already seen that pulled on my heartstrings. I don't care about that. It's the same reason I don't want to see Firefly recast their same folks or whatever, or do like a reboot.
Yeah.
But I do want to see something set in that universe. The universe is rich. You can plumb it. It's the same thing we're enjoying with Star Wars right now. Superman rant. Yes. Sorry, it is. So anyways, yeah, come up with something original. Stop playing the same shit over and over again, and stop ruining
you obviously
stuff that I like.
You don't know Hollywood. Hey, we're gonna max out an IP, doggone
it. I'm sick and tired of people thinking the best thing to do is to shoot a live action of what was already a great animated
fill in the
movie.
blank. Yeah.
Just stop doing it. Stop that.
And on that note, Jason, sign us out.
You want to join me, Kitty? Do you want to help? No, she doesn't. Okay. Anyway, we're done. Have fun, guys.
Go visit. Sign us out, man.
That's not how this works.
All right, we will do an appropriate sign-in since we're not a real show or whatever. Go visit Jeremy over at TitanComics.com or go visit him at 3128 Forest Lane, number 250, Dallas, Texas 75234. Jeremy would love to see your face in real or digital. He has all your geeky accoutrement. Go spend your money with him. He deserves it. And if you'd like to get in contact with us, although I have no idea why, you can email us at vagabondnerds@gmail.com.
Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification button so you can see when we go live.
And guys, as of today, we are back on YouTube, so catch us either way. Till next time, peace, deuces.
See ya.
Be kind to each other.
No, punch each other in the face.